Look, I'm going to be real with you. The first time I compared him to Ethan, it just slipped out. We were standing in the kitchen of his well, our rental, and he'd just finished plating the salmon he'd spent 45 minutes on, and I took one bite and said, Ethan used to make this with miso glaze that didn't taste like wet cardboard. I saw the flicker across his face this quick, almost surgical shutdown, but I told myself it was nothing. Because, honestly, what was I supposed to do? Pretend the salmon was good when it tasted like a punishment. That was 3 months in. By month 5, the comparisons were practically punctuation. Ethan never forgot to bring my allergy meds when we traveled. Ethan always knew how to find the Airbnb iron without calling the host. Ethan's playlists actually had transitions, not this Spotify roulette you call a vibe. Every time, he'd go quiet. Not sulky, not angry, just quiet in that way that makes the air feel suddenly overstarched. And every time, I told myself I was doing us a favor. Tough love, right? Standards keep a relationship honest. Besides, I was the catch. Everyone on Instagram said so. My comments were full of heart eyes and queen behavior, and he's so lucky. I had 11,000 followers who tuned in for my daily GRWM with my man reels. He had 312, mostly friends from college. So when I posted a side-by-side on my close friend's story left panel, Ethan holding an umbrella over me in Paris right panel, current boyfriend, struggling to fold one in a Home Depot parking lot, I thought it was just content. The DM reactions rolled an OMG upgrade needed Paris pic is literal art. Dump him and fly back to France. I laughed, screenshotted, and showed him. See, even strangers agree Paris was better. He looked at the phone for a long second, then at me, then at the salmon-stained plate between us. Paris had Ethan, he said. You want to go back? I rolled my eyes, don't be dramatic. But that night when I reached for him in bed, he moved my hand off his chest like it was something hot. I should have taken the cue. Instead, I opened TikTok and scrolled through Ethan's new girlfriend's videos, this micro-influencer who looked like she bathed in coconut water. They were in Chalum. Of course they were. I turned the screen toward him. Look at her hair. I used to look like that before you asked me to stop bleaching it because the bathroom smelled like a salon. He sat up. You want to bleach it again? I want to feel like myself again. He didn't answer. Just got up and went to the couch. I posted a boomerang of my ringless hand with the caption missing my glow era and fell asleep to the sound of him typing. I assumed he was working. The next morning, his side of the bed was cold. So was the coffee pot. No note, no text, just a single key on the counter, the one to the apartment next to my phone. I laughed. Cute, I said out loud to nobody. Very passive-aggressive. I texted him real mature. Key on the counter, are we 19? No reply. I opened Instagram to post a selfie in his oversized hoodie caption when men give you the silent treatment instead of communicating like adults, but the app froze on the upload screen. I tried again. Nothing. Then I noticed my entire grid was gone. Not just the recent posts. Everything. 2 years of curated aesthetic vaporized. My finger hovered over the profile picture still there, but when I tapped it, the page refreshed to 0 posts. My stomach dropped. I opened photos. Empty. Recently deleted, empty. iCloud 0 photos, 0 videos. I called him, straight to voicemail. I called again. Again. On the 5th try he picked up. You deleted my pictures. My voice cracked. My entire life is on that phone, was, he said. Calm. Too calm. Past tense. You psycho, I backed up your photos first. They're in a folder on the drive. Labeled X was better. Have fun in Paris. He hung up. I stared at the key. It looked smaller than I remembered. I wish I could tell you I had some big epiphany right then that I realized I'd weaponized nostalgia to punish him for not being someone else. But I didn't. I called my best friend Maya, sobbing. He wiped my entire grid. My sponsors, my income. She was quiet. Then did you really compare him to Ethan every day? Not every day, I snapped. And even if I did, that's not abuse. That's honesty. Honesty, she repeated. Right, I could hear her scrolling. Girl, you posted a poll yesterday who styled me better, Ethan or current boyfriend. 87 voted Ethan. That's rough. I opened the fridge. The salmon was still there, congealed in its sad puddle. He never even apologized for the salmon, I muttered. Maya sighed. You're not hearing yourself. I hung up. I spent the day spiraling through the stages of grief. Except denial looked like stalking Ethan's new girlfriend's Instagram. Bargaining looked like emailing Instagram support in all caps. And anger looked like a 2 a.m. tweet storm. By morning, I had 3,000 new followers. Not because they loved me, because a gossip page had screenshot my tweet. Men are so fragile, they'll nuke your memories over a little constructive criticism. and it went viral. The comments were brutal. She's mad her backup drive had feelings. Imagine being compared to an ex daily and still cooking salmon. She's the villain in a Spotify playlist. I DM'd the page, take it down. This is harassment. They replied with a clown emoji. I tried to log into the shared Google Drive. The folder was their ex was better, but it was empty except for a single text file. You were right. He was better at everything, including leaving. I laughed. It sounded like someone else's laugh. I went to my mom's. She took one look at me and said, "You finally pushed away someone who would have taken a bullet for you." I rolled my eyes. "He deleted my entire digital existence, Mom." She handed me tea. "And you deleted his dignity every day for 6 months. Which one's easier to restore?" I wanted to argue, but the words got stuck. Because somewhere in the static, I remembered the way he used to look at me like I was the only notification that mattered. The way he'd screenshot my ugliest laughs and set them as his phone background. How he'd never once posted a thirst trap, but had an entire hidden album of my morning hair chaos titled My Favorite View. I opened my laptop, typed and deleted a text to him 12 times. Finally, I'm sorry. Not for missing Ethan, but for using him like a weapon. I don't know who I am without my photos. Can we talk? Delivered. Read. Typing, then nothing. 3 days later, I got a package. No return address. Inside a Polaroid camera, a roll of film, and a note in his handwriting. Start over. You don't need a filter to be worth remembering. I cried. Not pretty, performative tears, ugly, snotty, can't breathe crying. I started taking pictures of my mom's overcooked spaghetti, of the cracked sidewalk outside, of my own face, no ring light, no Facetune. I posted one. Caption, learning to stay. The likes were slow. The comments were kind. And for the first time, I didn't check who viewed it. He never texted back. But 6 months later, I ran into him at a farmer's market. I was buying peaches. He was holding a bouquet of sunflowers that looked like they'd been picked by someone who didn't know you're supposed to cut the stems. We stared. I said the salmon was still trash. He smiled, small but real. I've been taking cooking classes. Turns out miso glaze isn't that hard. I laughed. Show off. He shifted the flowers. These are for my mom. She's sick. I'm sorry. Thanks. We stood there. People flowed around us like we were rocks in a stream. I swallowed. I never said this, but you were better at staying. Ethan always left the room when things got hard. You stayed until I made you go. He looked at the sunflowers. I'm not great at leaving either. Took me 3 months to delete your Netflix profile. I smiled, then winced. I checked. You're still on my family plan. He laughed, this soft, surprised sound. So pay me back. 1 dinner, neutral territory. You bring the miso, I'll bring the salmon. I nodded. Deal. We exchanged numbers, new ones, both of us. No cloud backups. Just 2 people with empty photo rolls and full hands. I still have the Polaroid he sent me later that week. It's of 2 empty coffee cups on a diner table, steam curling like questions we hadn't asked yet. On the back, he wrote, better at beginning.